Greetings, artists, and welcome to the second half of our contour lessons. So, hopefully, by now you've tried out the blind contour and you've tried out working with the contours of your hand. We're going to take that a step farther now, and what we're going to do is a similar blind contour exercise, but what we're going to do is use the contours of your face. So you see my hands coming into the picture frame, and actually I have a mirror that's right off what would be to my right, and that's outside the picture frame because I wanted you to see the drawing. So the same thing applies. Notice that you probably can see that I've taped my paper down to my board too so that it doesn't move as I work, because the only thing I'm going to be looking at is my reflection in the mirror rather than looking at the drawing itself, similar to what we did before. So what you want to do, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you want to find a place to start. I'm going to start in a place that's like what would be maybe above my left ear. And I'm going to start once again following the contours. This would be the contours of my hair. Remember, in contour drawing, whether blind or otherwise, the goal is to move slowly. The goal is to set your eyes and your hands at roughly the same speed so that you slow down and you learn how to actually look at your forms, look at your surfaces, and take your time. Because remember here, as when we worked with the hand, it's not going to be a perfect portrait of you. We have time for that later in the semester. Right now, it's about making you slow down and see those contours. Now, since you're viewing this on YouTube, you can always set the playback speed a little faster if you want to see this a little faster. What's important though is when you begin to draw, that you draw at a nice slow speed. There's no need to hurry through this assignment. I'm going to stop and check and see if I've got line there. And I'm at a place where my curve is going to change. And I'm going to change direction with it. Again, and I've hit a spot. This would actually be my earring. Though we don't really have to name it. And again, I'm not looking at the drawing, so now I've hit a spot where I need to move on, so sometimes you may need to travel back over where you've already been and just come back to where you're going. Now I'm running out of paper here, so I'm going to come back to where I've been and keep going, moving on. I've hit a little place where I'm going to change direction, and I'm going to stop and enjoy that curve. Right now, you're just simply exploring. Your goal today is not to make your masterpiece. There'll be time for that. Today is a day where you're simply eating your vegetables. And we're going to try to find some vegetables that you like to eat, so it's not a chore. And again, we're doubling back over where we've been. And now I'm coming into some new exciting curves. If you were looking at me straight, it would be my other earring. Heaven only knows what's on the paper, because remember, I cannot see it. This is blind contour. And so the goal in blind contour is not to look at your drawing. What this does is that it forces you to concentrate in the moment on what is right ahead of you. The other thing that it does is it gets you away from passing judgment on your work. A lot of times people feel like, well, if I wasn't a super artist in high school and I didn't draw SpongeBob or something, then I can't be a good artist. And that's not true. If you're willing to put in the time, do the work, and eat your vegetables, you'd be amazed at what you could come up with. The goal here again is we're hitting contours. And I'm going to work on some of these here. We're not really worried about them connecting or being a perfect portrait of me. Those of you who've seen my work, you know that I'm perfectly capable of painting and drawing a portrait, something that's more realistic. But the goal of this exercise is simply to get you thinking about contour. You're slowing down your eye and your hand so that you can take the time to see what's in front of you. There's a lot of good information there if we just slow down and look at it. And following your curves can really be an engaging experience, almost meditational. I may have to start bringing in some really cool Tibetan music or something. Because it's not a race, it's not a contest, it's simply an exploration. So there's no right or wrong with this. There's no A, B, C, D, E, F. The goal is for you to look at all of your edges. I think John Legend had that song, something about all your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. But here we're looking at all those curves and all your edges. And we see what can come of them. How can we make them into art? I'm at a place where I want to travel up a little bit, so I'm going to create a line and just travel up. And it's okay if you get really deep in concentration, deep in thought. Again, this process is kind of a slow study. We do enough things fast, fast food and fast cars and fast check and go. So it's something to be said for slowing down and seeing things as they are. Remember, a good chunk of drawing is going to be learning how to see. And in order to see, sometimes we need to slow it down. Get away from the rush. Get away from everything having to be the super champion, be the first, be the best. Just in this moment, be an explorer. And look at all your cool contours. And I'm working my way up. I feel like I'm in the home stretch with this, but I see I've got some other contours I've missed. Notice too, if you will, what's happening with my hand that's holding the pencil. Notice that I have more of an overhand grip. The overhand grip gives you a lot more flexibility. After all, you're drawing, you're not cashing a check. So it doesn't have to be tight like a signature. Just to sort of give you a sense, I'm going to take a quick peek at my drawing. But notice here with the overhand, you have a lot of freedom, a lot of range of motion as compared to drawing this way. You're only limited to what you can do with your hands. So try out that overhand and see how that works for you. I'm going to keep moving, and I'm in the home stretch. So these are your contours. Show them off at their best advantage. But there is no law that says here that they have to be connected. In fact, the more disjointed they are, that's more of a sign that you actually studied contour rather than peeking at your drawing. I can usually tell. I'm going to stop at this point, and I'm actually really very pleased with this piece. You might say, Professor Hawkins, that's some chicken scratch. And to the untrained eye, yeah, it probably would be. But look again. Remember, in all the sort of chicken scratchy scribbles that you're doing, there's some beautiful contours that you're starting to see. You can see the contours of the inner ear here. There's a contour of the eye. It's really fairly accurate. There's another ear over here with an earring attached. So here's the line of the glasses. What also happened too is because I worked with an overhand stroke, I could get a little bit more juice out of my pencil. I can not only do thinner lines, but I could use the side of the pencil and get some thicker lines as well. So a little bit more versatility, and also a shameless plug for good old-fashioned wood pencils, boys and girls. Let's put those mechanical pencils away for a moment. Shameless plug. I've given you wooden pencils, fine, good old-fashioned pencils. So for drawing, I want you to have a tool that, again, gives you much more dimensionality. So again, with all of the sort of chicken scratchy, I feel like this is a really beautiful blind contour drawing. I'm very pleased. I love all the contours of all my little bumpy hair in here. And again, it's a reminder. This is not the time to worry about your perfect portrait. I'm just worried about, not worried, but I'm just concerned with your beautiful contours. So with that, I'm going to close, and this is your second of 3 assignments. So remember the first assignment, you did a blind contour of your hand. Now you're going to do a blind contour of your face. Again, do it in pencil. Any paper that you want to use is fine. So with that, I'll bid you a fond farewell. Until next time.